Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we have a super exciting story from the Bible that's all about courage, friendship, and trusting in God. It's the story of Jonathan and his armor bearer. So grab your imaginary swords and shields, because we're about to dive into an amazing adventure. At this time, the Israelites were in a really tough spot. The Philistines, their powerful enemies, were everywhere. They had thousands of soldiers and chariots, while the Israelites were scared and hiding in caves and thickets. Even their king, Saul, seemed a little stuck and unsure of what to do. Things looked pretty bleak, but one person wasn't afraid. That was Jonathan, King Saul's son. Jonathan had a huge amount of faith in God. He believed that with God on their side, anything was possible, no matter how big the enemy looked. So, he came up with a super daring plan. One day, Jonathan turned to his loyal friend, his armor bearer, the guy who carried his weapons. He said, "Hey, let's go over to the Philistine outpost on the other side." He didn't even tell his dad, King Saul, about his plan. It was just going to be the two of them against a whole garrison of enemy soldiers. Crazy, right? But Jonathan had a secret weapon, his faith. He told his armor bearer, "Perhaps the Lord will act in our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few." Jonathan knew that it didn't matter if they were just two guys against an army. If God was with them, they could win. And what did his armor bearer say? This is one of my favorite parts. He looked at Jonathan and said, "Go ahead. I am with you heart and soul." What an amazing friend. He trusted Jonathan, and he trusted in Jonathan's faith in God. This shows us how important it is to have good friends who support us and believe in us. So, the two of them set off on their secret mission. Their plan was to show themselves to the Philistine soldiers. Jonathan said, "If they say to us, 'Wait there until we come to you,' we will stay where we are and not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' we will climb up, because that will be our sign that the Lord has given them into our hands." They were asking God for a sign, a little wink to let them know he was with them. They crept to the edge of the cliff and let the Philistines see them. The Philistine soldiers looked down and laughed. "Look," they shouted, "the Hebrews are crawling out of the holes they were hiding in." Then they yelled, "Come on up to us, and we'll teach you a lesson." That was it. That was the sign. Jonathan turned to his armor bearer, his heart pounding with excitement. "Climb up after me." He said, "The Lord has given them into the hand of Israel." He knew God was on their side. So, Jonathan started climbing up the steep, rocky cliff on his hands and knees, with his faithful armor bearer right behind him. Can you imagine how hard that must have been? They were climbing toward a whole group of enemy soldiers who were waiting to fight them. But they weren't afraid. They were filled with courage because they knew God was leading them. When they reached the top, the battle began. Jonathan and his armor bearer were an incredible team. Jonathan would strike down the Philistine soldiers, and his armor bearer would follow right behind him, making sure the job was done. In just a small area, they defeated about 20 men. It was an amazing start. But then, something even more incredible happened. All of a sudden, a massive panic swept through the entire Philistine camp. The Bible says that the ground shook. God sent an earthquake. The soldiers on the field, the men in the outpost, even the raiding parties. Everyone started freaking out. They were so confused and terrified that they started fighting each other. Can you picture the chaos? Soldiers running everywhere, not knowing who was a friend or who was an enemy. It was a total mess, all because God had stepped in. Back at the Israelite camp, King Saul's lookouts saw the commotion. They saw the huge Philistine army melting away in confusion. Saul was puzzled. He did a head count and realized, wait a minute, Jonathan and his armor bearer are gone. He quickly figured out what must have happened. Seeing the Philistines in a panic, Saul finally decided to act. He blew a trumpet and rallied all his soldiers. "Let's go," he shouted. The Israelite army, who had been so scared just a little while ago, were now filled with courage. They saw what just two brave men and God could do, and it inspired them to join the fight. They charged into battle and found the Philistines in complete disarray, fighting amongst themselves. The Israelites chased them down, and the victory was huge. Even the Hebrews, who had been hiding or had switched sides to join the Philistines, saw what was happening, and came back to fight for Israel. The momentum had completely shifted, and it all started with one person's brave decision. Jonathan's faith and courage created a ripple effect. His daring attack, just him and his friend, sparked a nationwide victory. He didn't wait for the king. He didn't wait for the whole army. He just trusted God and took that first step. This story is such a powerful reminder for us. Sometimes we face challenges that seem as big as the Philistine army. Maybe it's a tough test at school, a problem with a friend, or just feeling scared or alone. But like Jonathan, we can choose faith over fear. We can remember that God is with us, and with Him, nothing is impossible. It doesn't matter how small we feel. With God, we can do great things. Jonathan's story also shows us the power of leadership and initiative. While Saul was hesitating, Jonathan acted. He saw a problem, and instead of just waiting, he did something about it. And look what happened. His bravery inspired a whole nation. And let's not forget his amazing armor bearer. His loyalty and teamwork were crucial. He didn't question Jonathan. He just said, "I'm with you." Having a friend like that is priceless. It reminds us to be that kind of friend to others too. Supportive, loyal, and encouraging. So, what started as a secret mission with two friends turned into a massive victory that changed everything for the Israelites. It was a major turning point in their fight for freedom. It all came down to Jonathan's bold faith, his teamwork with his armor bearer, and God's miraculous power. What a story, right? It just goes to show that one person's courage, fueled by faith in God, can make a giant difference. You don't have to be a king or have a huge army. You just need a willing heart and trust in God. Thanks so much for watching with me today. I hope you were as inspired by Jonathan as I am. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. See you next time, and God bless.